Hi everyone, I hope you had a great weekend and that you're enjoying the newly fallen snow and the new look that we have here in Anchorage now that it has officially turned to winter. We will have no classes on campus today due to the weather and the road conditions, so please drive carefully if you have to leave and be out and about today. Just a reminder that we are going to be doing a peer edit in class on Thursday, October 31st, so please come to class with a rough draft of your interpersonal paper. This can be printed out or you can have an electronic copy that could be on your laptop or your tablet, but you do need to have your paper in class with you on Thursday in some format. You will then have a week to do some editing and revising on your paper that you can bring, and then you can submit that by midnight on Thursday, November 7th. Please keep in mind that the Writing Center is available to you as an extra credit opportunity. So if you would like to go before Thursday or after you meet with your classmate, your peer in class, you can then go to the Writing Center and get feedback. You just need to show proof that you've been to the Writing Center and then you can get 5 points extra credit. You can visit the Writing Center as many times as you want, but the extra credit will only be offered one time. Just as a reminder for your interpersonal paper, the second page of this shows everything that you need to know for the grading of your paper and what should be included. I'm looking for an 8 to 12 paragraph paper that includes an introduction, 3 main points, and a conclusion. Remember that those main points come from the topics that we have covered in interpersonal communication, or they can be topics that you find in the interpersonal communication textbook. It does not necessarily have to be information we have covered in class. I would suggest using that table of contents as a guide to help you when you go to find topics. For each of your main topics, one paragraph should be devoted to what the textbook says using direct quotes and summaries. And the second paragraph for that main point should be looking at how the conversation you had with your friend, coworker, sibling, parent, significant other, how that topic relates to that conversation that you had. Again, if you have any questions or concerns regarding the interpersonal paper, please make sure that you ask me and I'm happy to help with that. So today in class, the plan was to cover chapter 11, which is all about family and marriage relationships. You can find this PowerPoint on Blackboard if you would like to follow along or if you want to refer back to it after the lecture is over. So when we are talking about families, there are 2 types of family communication patterns. The first one is socio-orientation, and this is where the family is concerned about fostering harmony and pleasant social relationships within the family unit. Families high in socio-orientation tend to communicate a similarity of attitudes, beliefs, and values. Similarity and harmony are valued while conflict is avoided. Family members maintain interdependence within a hierarchical structure. The second type of communication pattern within families is called concept orientation, and this is where families use positive constraints to stimulate the child to develop his own views about the world and to consider more than one side of an issue. High concept orientation families engage in open and frequent communication. Family life and interactions are perceived to be pleasurable. Self-expression is encouraged when attempting to make family decisions. Parents or guardians and children communicate in such a way that parents or guardians socialize and educate their children. From these 2 types of communication patterns, there are 4 combinations that can be created that most families can relate to and are modeled after. And this is the graphic from your textbook. So I'm going to go through each of these. And as I do, I want you to be thinking about how this might relate to your family and which one is the most similar to how you were raised in your household. The first communication pattern that we're going to talk about is consensual, and this is in the bottom left corner. In these types of families, there's high levels of socio and conceptual orientation. These families strive to have agreement and avoid argument. Children may be encouraged to think outside the box, but only if it doesn't impact the power of hierarchy of the parents. Your textbook states that these conflicting pressures may induce the child to retreat from the parent or guardian-child interaction. There is some evidence of escape by consensual children, such as strikingly heavy viewing of television fantasy programs. The second type of family communication pattern is protective. This is where there is high socio and low concept. Strong emphasis on child obedience and family harmony is expected within this communication pattern. In these families, children are taught that they should not disagree with their parents openly or engage in conversations where they might have differing opinions. Your textbook states that McLeod and Chaff noted that parents or guardians strive to protect their children from any kind of controversy, which may actually make them more vulnerable to outside pressures and persuasion because they have not been taught how to be critical thinkers. The third type of communication pattern is pluralistic, and this is kind of the opposite of protective with low socio and high concept. In these families, the emphasis in this communication structure seems to be on the mutuality of respect and interests. The combination of an absence of social constraint plus a positive impetus to self-expression should foster both communication and competence. Some parents worry that this type of openness will create problems with their children. However, children from these types of families state that they hope to be like their own parents. The pluralistic type of families are the ones where children have a lot of input on what rules and punishments should be enacted within the family. It's more of a democratic process rather than the parents holding all control. The last type of communication pattern within families is laissez-faire. This type of family is low socio and low concept. These families lack communication and interaction between parent and child. These children are more likely to be influenced by outside entities like media and peers. There is very hands-off attitude when it comes to communication within these families. Okay, so if we were in class, I would now ask you to turn to someone near you to discuss what you just learned about these different types of families. So I will put this on the notes for today, but I would like you to do a little self-reflection that you submit for your participation points for today. So be thinking about when you look at your own family, where on the table that we just covered would your family fall? For those of you who now have your own families, how is it different from how you were raised? So as an example, the family I was raised in is somewhere between consensual and protective. I was encouraged to think outside of the box by my dad. He and I have always had a very open relationship where we talk about lots of different things. My parents were divorced though, so when I was with my mom, she did want me to think on my own as long as it didn't go against her own thinking and her values and her wants. So that's more of the protective view. So you can see, as with the activity that you did for your homework, when it comes to family and how we interact, it can vary greatly depending on the structure of our family. If you don't feel comfortable talking about your own family for these questions, feel free to use a family that you have observed in your own life or even on television or in a book. The other area that I would like to cover for today is about sibling relationships. And this is one of my favorite areas to cover in class when it comes to interpersonal communication. And I think one of the reasons is because I'm an only child, and so I'm just fascinated by the relationships that happen between siblings. One area where communication scholars have been instrumental is in the field of sibling relationships and that relationship maintenance, or the communicative behaviors that one engages in to preserve a relationship with another person. In one of the earliest studies to examine sibling relationships in the field, Scott Myers and a group of students explored the relationship between relationship communication and sibling communication satisfaction, which is liking and loving. Equality, receptivity, immediacy, similarity, and composure were all positively related to communication satisfaction. Composure, equality, similarity, and receptivity were all positively related to sibling liking. Equality, similarity, and receptivity were positively related to loving one sibling. The researchers also noted that individuals who perceived the relationships as more formal reported lower levels of loving their siblings. The first study helped pave the way for future research in examining how relationship communication impacts sibling relationships. In a follow-up study, Scott Myers and Keith Weber set out to construct a measure for analyzing how individuals use communication to maintain their sibling relationships. In their research, Myers and Weber found 6 distinct ways that siblings maintain their relationships through communication. And these are confirmation, humor, social support, family visits, escape, and verbal aggression. I'm going to go through each of these and give you an example of what this could look like. For confirmation, this is giving messages that show the value of the relationship. It can be something simple like, hey, I'm pretty lucky to have a brother or a sister like you. Humor is the next way. This is a great way for siblings to connect. They often find things funny that outsiders simply will not understand, so the idea of inside jokes. So an example of this, my husband and his brother were often chastised by their father while working in the garage on vehicles, and they have an inside joke where they send memes about holding the flashlight for their dad. This helps them to connect and to maintain their relationship. And while many of you might be able to relate to this, this is something that connects them and the shared experience that they have that they find to be funny. The third way that siblings maintain their relationship is through social support. This is where the sibling will seek advice or support when it comes to life. This could be through romantic relationships, work, school, relationship with parents, anything that the sibling might need support with. The fourth is family events. These could be travel for the holidays or vacations where everyone comes together, everyone coming home for a special occasion, a family reunion, or a holiday. Last Christmas, my brother-in-law and his family came to Alaska, and we spent time together as a whole family with my mother-in-law, and these are shared experiences that help to build and maintain our relationship. The fifth way is escape. So at the same time, it's often great to attend family events. We usually only like to attend when we know our sibling will be there. In these cases, we often use our siblings as a form of escape. In fact, some siblings will only attend family get-togethers when they know their sibling will be there. This creates an environment where new inside jokes can be created. Siblings will often give each other looks that help them escape from uncomfortable situations because they both know what it's like to deal with mom or dad or certain interactions that might be happening. My husband and his brother will often escape from our family gatherings to do things on their own, like go fishing or snow machining, so that they can have time together. The last way that siblings maintain their relationship is through verbal aggression. Now, verbal aggression is generally not viewed as a positive tool for communication. However, some sibling pairs have realized over time that verbally aggressive behaviors allow them to get their way or vent their frustrations. However, in the original study by Weber and Myers, the researchers did find that all of the other relational maintenance strategies were positive related to sibling liking, commitment, and trust, but verbal aggression was not. As an example, my uncle often voices his frustration with his 2 younger brothers, so that would be my dad and his other brother, who he often feels don't carry their weight within the family. He will be verbally aggressive towards them, and then they all can move on. So if we were in class, I would ask you to turn to your neighbor and discuss how these relate to the relationship that you have with your own siblings, or if you're an only child like me, and don't have a relationship, or you don't have a relationship with your siblings, you can consider other sibling relationships that you see in your own life, like I did with the examples. So included with today's post in Blackboard, you will find a video. It's just a short, funny video about sibling relationships, so please take a look at that. As a reminder, please make sure that you have your interpersonal paper ready to go for Thursday in rough draft format. And as always, if you have any questions or concerns, please let me know. Have a great day, and I will hopefully see you on Thursday.